I am going to push record here, and we are going to get started with our hot seat presentation. Today, we get to hear from Dara LaPorta, and I appreciate her being willing to share today. I always try to get in front of these things a little bit and remind people like the Friday before, and I think Dara got her reminder at like this morning at 7:30 a.m. So anyway, Dara, thank you for being willing to share despite the late reminder. We're looking forward to hearing a little bit about what you've been doing. I will say Dara's had a spectacular year, you guys. She, despite the crazy family life that she has and tons of, four boys going every which way. I know that she's really been intentional this year with her business, and I'm excited to hear about some of the things that she's done that have created momentum for her and her team this year. So Dara, have at it.
Thanks, Craig. I don't have four boys. That's you, I think. No. But I think most of you know, I have the four kids. One's in school full time. The rest are little. And, Craig knows that back in May or April, right before Punta Cana, I was like in a real crossroads in my business. And we just had a really frank conversation. It might've been through Messenger, but I was like, I just really need to reevaluate. I would never stop, but I may need to just lower my expectations for my business this year because I'm just struggling. I'm not effective in any area of my life. I was just in that phase where I just felt overwhelmed. And just like I said, I wasn't really doing anything well. And for me, my family is always my first priority. So Beachbody would have to be the thing that kind of gets lowered expectation wise. So I went to Punta Cana just thinking, and I really left there though refreshed, and I felt like, man, I'm not willing to give up on being elite this year. I'm not willing to, just give that up yet, and other goals. So what I realized, I don't know if it was during that time, but one of my biggest aha moments this year has been, I kept trying to tell myself and use the excuse that I didn't have enough time to work my business. But the truth is I do have enough time. It's limited, but I still have enough. What I didn't have enough of was energy. I found that when I was getting those opportunities to do my business, I was just exhausted. I was depleted, and meeting new people and checking on my coaches, and let alone doing really creative stuff like coming up with new content or training, was just the last thing I wanted to do. And so I'm sorry, my little one is still here. So I started waking up earlier, which I know you'd think that'd make me more tired. But for me, I realized that I am best in the morning. And not everyone's going to be like that. So this isn't about you need to, wake up early. But what I found was I need to do my business when I'm at my best. And that was not at 2 p.m. Thank you, Tessa. That was not at 2 p.m. during that time. I was so done by then, let alone at 8:30 p.m. when we finally got all four kids to bed. And those were the times I was giving myself to do the business, and it just wasn't working anymore. Oh my gosh, you are nuts. So I woke up at 5. I did personal development for like the first hour, and then I just did an hour of business from 6 to 7. That's changed a little now that Sienna started kindergarten. We have to wake her up at 6:30. So I've, again, had to adjust my schedule again, but all through from May through like the school year, that's what I had been doing. And not every day. I'm not like a machine. But I will say those same activities that I would have to do at 2 p.m., just what we do, your power hour, whatever, that felt so hard and like so just annoying, and I was dragging through them at 2 p.m. or 9 p.m., I was flying through at 6 a.m. My energy was just so different, and my like excitement. And so for me, that was just such a big aha moment that, again, it wasn't about the time that I didn't have, because I did have time. Me and my husband watch an hour of TV at night, every single night together. So I had time, but that just wasn't time I was willing to give up for this business. And it wasn't just time, it's just not time I was at my best. So that would be my first thing. And I feel like I'm preaching to the choir with a lot of this stuff, but this is the stuff that's worked for me. Also, the whole Carl group, I'm here to help, was why are you not getting 20 to 30 points a month? I've hit Success Club 10 since I started, from my first month till now. But I noticed like the last really year and a half, it was like just barely getting 10, maybe 12, on a really crazy month, 16, and again, that's okay. But it just made me, again, being part of that group made me want to push for more. But I didn't really know how, I guess. And again, this is most of you probably already do this, but I love to keep things simple, and I'm like the queen of like, give yourself grace and don't work too hard. But I realized I needed to run 2 challenge groups a month. And except for September, thank God September's over, right? Good Lord, that was a tough month for me. Except for September, I've had 20 or more Success Club points starting in May, June, July, August. And I just needed more to invite to. And again, so basic, but I needed more to invite to. I just wasn't going to get 10 people for one group. I hope your networks are like that. Unfortunately, mine's just not. So I needed to run, 2 groups, which actually kind of worked out well, because I'd always struggled with, I kind of wanted to just do a group for like me and my people, like maybe a book club, or which my coaches could invite to, but it wasn't quite the same. So this did give me the opportunity just to run one really generic group. That's usually my first one of the month. And so that way, like, all my coaches have all month to invite to that one, and that's the one they can be a part of. And then I do one starting mid-month that I can make more specific and more to my people, and maybe keep a little more intimate. So that's worked out well for me.
Hey, sorry, what do you mean by more specific? And
like
your second one would be have a focus on something?
Yeah, maybe it would be just for moms, and we'd read a mom book, or maybe it would be, I don't know, that's about as far as I've gotten. But the point is just a little more, again, specific to my people. Maybe do one that has a theme that, again, I probably wouldn't do in a generic group when I'm not going to know all the people, because maybe it's some of my coaches, customers and stuff too. The other thing that's really been working for me, and again, so basic, but maybe it's a good reminder, is with my posts, is just vulnerability. I don't get, my posts where I'm being vulnerable are like always my most popular posts. Always, always, always. I get so much traction. And and that could be like, and when I say vulnerability, I think it always sounds so like deep and scary and dark and intimate, and it doesn't have to be that way. Some are like that. A post I did about, it was an anniversary post like 2 years ago, and I like started the post with, this has been the hardest year of our marriage, and just went into, the reasons why. And I didn't get into the nitty gritty, but like, oh my gosh, people, they respond to that. Another blog post was that I shared on Facebook was how I yell at my kids, and, not just like firm, like, kind of go crazy on them, yell at them sometimes, and how I'm working through it though, and really popular. So you have those, but you also just have, another really popular post was how, I said, I think I've grown a chin hair for every child I've had. So like just being vulnerable about like those shallow flaws too, and people, again, really responded to that. And so I think just for me, that's worked really well. Or vulnerability could just be laughing at yourself for something stupid you did, or whatever. Again, I'm sure you guys know this, but I've just really made a point to be more intentional with how vulnerable. I saw your post, your chat comment, Craig. How just being more intentional. How can I be more vulnerable today? And whether that's something funny or whether it is serious, that's just worked really well for me on social media. And really the last thing that I feel like I've learned and that I'd really gotten away from is after running like, 18, sorry, after running, like 18 unsuccessful diamond push groups, I started to just get discouraged and just be like, I'm just not going to try. The people who get it are going to get it, and I'm done, and what I've had to realize is that I have to keep trying, and it might bust and I might fail again. And, but I just have to keep trying different, ways of helping people. And I think for quite a while though, I got a little jaded and just like, over it and just feeling like, again, I'm just, and again, I always feel like in my business, I'm really good at doing my business. But that extra stuff, those extra products, a new challenge group content or new training content, like it's those projects that I just feel like I never seem to have enough time to watch the different training videos I want to incorporate and, write new content. So I still am struggling with that, but just again, knowing that I need to keep trying. I need to keep figuring out ways to help my team and lead my team and help my customers and lead my customers better. So that's just been the other thing that I've just had to put my ego aside. And so what if it fails? It's my job to keep trying. So really that's it. Things I'm working on.
So hold on, Dara. I want to ask you, I'm going to interrupt you. So, and it seems like we also in the kind of around the same time we were having this, okay, how are you going to refocus? What are you going to refocus on? You also, I know you were very, very sensitive about talking about the income side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was you didn't want to talk about that, but again, you decided to, eat that frog. You decided to find a way to share, what the coaching opportunity had done for you, and you became more intentional about that. And how did that impact, your business or your team or the type of prospect that you were bringing in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still not something I do a lot. And, when you do, I'm, try to be really thoughtful about it. But I think people just need to know that what's possible, and especially your team, maybe, and I think I'd gotten away from even sharing with my own team what was happening. And because, you feel like that could discourage them, but hopefully, you don't have the kind of team culture that would discourage them and it would inspire them. And so I think definitely sharing it with your team, getting back to sharing it in sneak peeks. I'd stopped sharing it in sneak peeks because I just didn't want people to get, again, the wrong idea or have a certain expectation. But I think also, sneak peeks are something I'm working on actually. And I loved Ashley Smith had so many good things to say about that a week or two ago. And, she does, she shares like income progressions in her sneak peeks, but from all different kinds of coaches. And I thought that was just really good. Yeah, you can have hours up there where we're, most of us, I believe, are making a really nice sum. But you can also have the coach who's only been at it for 3 months and maybe they only made $50 every month. But I think that's okay. I think people need to see that side too. So I think even encouraging your team to share some of those things. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because I know that was something that you kind of had to overcome that mental hurdle, as a lot of our our coaches do. And I do love that our company is, it's not business first. We don't lead with the business. We lead with the value that we can add to your life and the way that we can change your life, and that ultimately is what creates the opportunity for us. But also just constantly exposing the way that coaching has impacted your life. I mean, if you're not setting that expectation or exposing that to your team, to your challengers, to your followers, what would ever make someone come into this and say, I want to be a coach, or motivated to work to do something, if they're not hearing those success stories, even, no matter how big they are, that, oh, there's an opportunity here, that I connected with that opportunity or that, income story or life-changing story that somebody shared. That's going to motivate me, to work. If not, we get a lot of people maybe motivated to improve their fitness, but not necessarily motivated to coach. And that's what I thought, again, that we did really well, during a certain phase in the business. That was coming out a lot naturally, where we kept talking a lot about, the coach life and the way that it had, changed and impacted lives. And then we kind of swung the pendulum back and got, just, overly focused again on just fitness, which is great. We should always be, focused on that, but in not talking about the coaching opportunity, the expectation and the sense of opportunity or the fear of loss about what would happen if they didn't work as coaches. I think we lost that a little bit. So I know that was an intentional thing that you did in your team, Dara, and you guys have had a really productive year. So, I thought that was important. Cool. Sorry, I kind of cut you off before maybe you were going to make some other points. Did you have?
No, that's okay. I did think of one more thing about the vulnerability. Again, maybe some of you guys are like, I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm going to post what I want. I'm still not there yet, to be honest. So I still care, certain things about, I just try to be sensitive to certain things. And so I guess last thing about vulnerability is when I know that I've been like really vulnerable about other areas of my life or talked about my struggles or shared unattractive photos of myself, I have a lot more confidence when I brag on myself about what I've done with coaching. I feel like I have earned the right to talk about then the good stuff because I've shared the bad stuff too. I feel like I've earned the right to share a flattering picture of my physique after a good workout because I just talked that I had chin hairs the day before, so I think for me, and maybe you guys don't need that confidence, but I do. So being vulnerable in those posts have given me the confidence and kind of empowered me to then share the good stuff about coaching and maybe brag on myself a little bit or share a more flattering picture or something like that. So anyways, that was it. I was just going to say the things I'm working on are shaking up my sneak peeks. They have been so boring. And doing them with my team, that's something I got away from. I'm really working on team culture. That's a huge struggle of mine. And so I feel like, if I can do a sneak peek with my team, then our prospects are going to feel like they're joining a team and not just joining me as, the one-man show. So I think that's something I'm working on. I'm trying to come up with, and I love the wake-up call Megan, I don't remember her name, Geese did about how she kind of has a general posting schedule. I feel like just being more intentional with my posting is something I really need to do, and having a very flexible schedule with that would be really helpful. So that's something I'm working on. I think that's it. That's all I had to say.
Awesome. Well, that was awesome, Dara. That is such a neat discovery that you had about, again, posting, and when it does it, I guess it kind of gives you, when you're authentic or vulnerable or point out, the bad, it gives you that moral authority, or that you use the word empowerment or empowered to also brag a little bit when you want to highlight something that, positive. And so people see, oh, it's not all just, a bowl of cherries all the time, like being able to feel empowered to brag a little bit and highlight, the good. That is a really neat approach to that. That's very cool.
And I think they'll believe you because you've posted the bad stuff. So why wouldn't they believe you with the good stuff?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's always good, I think it kind of gets like, really? Is this like real life?
To be true, sort of a thing. Yeah, very cool. Any questions for Dara, you guys? Or did she spark any thoughts or epiphanies to you guys that maybe would help enrich this discussion?
I just want to say I appreciate the simplicity. It's like I am always just trying to refine my system to make it simpler and simpler and simpler. And so often we get on these calls and I feel like completely stressed out of my mind because I feel like and I know that's not what I'm ever supposed to do, is like implement 20 new things every week. But I feel like, especially on these calls, when we get this opportunity to talk to other amazing coaches, I so often feel that. So thank you.
Agreed. Well, one of the things that stood out to me, again, just like a principle, I feel like we could share, like we could implement ourselves and then share what. It's the first thing that you mentioned, Dara, where it was like, when you started working your business, when you were at your best, like getting up when you were fresh, that energy level, that excitement level was there. That's just a minor change. You were still putting in an hour or two, it was still a power hour. It was still, the time allotment was the same, but the way that you felt, the energy that you had, the fresh mind, fresh spirit, enthusiasm that you brought to that hour made all the difference. And so it just goes to show, like a lot of times, God, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Or your people that are trying to work this business in the fringe hours of their day, just making that small adjustment from, hey, find that hour when you can be at your best, instead of, all right, I said I was going to work my business today, I guess I'll gut through, 11 p.m. to midnight and make this happen. Unless you're one of those people that's at your best 11 p.m. to midnight, or midnight to 1 a.m. That's not me. I'm with Dara. I'm a morning person. I'm like, I can feel like crap the night before, and the next morning I'm like, let's go. But I just, that principle, same time allotment, not asking you to put in more time, but shift, maybe that hour when you're able to do it when you're at your best, and it can make all the difference. So great, principle there for sure. So, and then I like how also, Dara, that you this stood out to me, that, when Carl issued the challenge, like, you really did make yourself accountable to a serious goal, and I think, again, we don't want to push people towards, quitting or make this be unfun for them, whether that's personally or those that are willing to embrace. And like, sometimes I feel like as leaders, we get to where, we're treading that line where we keep like lowering the bar so that people don't get offended, or lowering the bar so that people still want to do that. And whereas, just what if we kept that bar high, and then we helped inspire people to do that, or, bring out the tiger in people, and Dara kind of did that with herself, where she was feeling like, it was, let me see what I can do with this, and I need to keep my family first, and I don't know where my priorities are. And then she gave herself a serious goal that she was going to hold herself accountable to, and she elevated her game, and she added something new to invite to. And again, not a reinvention of the wheel, but just something that kept her accountable to that. And I just think we need to, collectively, sometimes we need to change our narrative, and instead of always narrating our head about how we can, again, bring things down, like let's narrate ourselves up to how we can keep that bar high and bring out the best in ourselves, and bring out the best, in others. We have something great here. We have something that makes an impact. We have something that, that people want. Let's freaking change that narrative and make it happen, and hold ourselves accountable to that higher bar. And as we do, people will be inspired by that, and they'll follow. And those that aren't, probably weren't going to do it anyway. So let's keep that bar high, and keep ourselves, aiming for that. That's probably your pole vaulter's mindset, right, Dara? When you talk about, setting the bar. You guys didn't know that Dara was a pole vaulter in college, which I can't imagine, like, how you actually practice launching yourself, like, however far in the air you go, but you gotta have some guts to do that. What was like your record high pole vault?
13 feet 8 inches.
13 feet 8 inches on a skinny little pole. You hurled your body over 13 feet 8 inches.
Yeah. I mean, you don't start there. You start really small.
I love it. We need some pole vaulting analogies one of these days. Like,
yeah, there are plenty, as you pointed out, apparently.
Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, hey, thanks for being on today. Thank you, Dara, for sharing those points with us. I hope you guys have a great week. And if you need anything or have any questions or whatever, just keep that thread alive, and let me know how I can help. So thank you.